Hey guys, this is Charlie from Top Table TCG here, bringing you a deck profile of my Scaredick Turbo. So this is a very fun deck. I won't say it's overly competitively viable. Some would argue it is, but I don't personally feel it's that competitively viable. But I'll go over the deck and sort of explain how it works. So starting off with the main deck, you have 3 copies of Scaredick. He's one of your main attacking units of the deck. He's kind of the card that enables the kill turn and combo with Bartholomew. You can run anywhere from like 2 to 4 copies ish. His effect is that you can discard your entire hand to give him plus 30k in a crit. Bear in mind that if you don't have any hand, you can still use the effects. So if you have 2, you can use both of them, or if you have 3, you can use all 3. But that's sort of the premise. This is the main card you're going to be attacking with in the deck. Next, we have our Superior Ride package in our Swordmaster, our Spirit, and our Nightmare. So the way this package works, these both have the effects to... This specifies grade 1 or higher, this can retire anything, but Soulblast 2. Choose a rearguard. Any rearguard for this, as I said, and I believe it's 2 or higher, or 1 or higher? Yeah, 1 or higher. Rearguard, retire it, and call this. And this is effect is, if you have both these on rear, you can retire them to Superior Ride him from drop. So the reason that you choose to do this in the deck is it means that if you're going first, you hit grade 3, they stay on grade 2, and you kill them with your stride turn on turn 3. So the point of the deck is that it's supposed to be faster than a lot of the opponent's strategies. With this obviously enabling that Superior Ride, you get it almost always. The thing about this deck is it's incredibly consistent as long as you play it properly. But yeah, this package enables the Superior Ride. Next, we have our 1 Beatrice and our 1 Magnolia. So the Magnolia is here as a ride target after you've done your grade 3 to play if you're going first, or just a ride target if you're going second. And the reason you go into him is because he enables your grade 2 card to give one of your rearguard back row Scaredicks, or even himself, the ability to attack from the back row. So it just allows you to extend slightly further with another big hitter that has, obviously, Battledore 3 with Bartholomew. And Beatrice is here because it's just a staple Granblue card that allows you to filter quite easily through your deck. It's basically a free res. It's a free body when you res. If you res it off of something else, she can res another thing, and it's just a free body. She's also normally one of the core targets off of Bartholomew's on attack. Next, on to grade 2s. One of the key pieces of the deck is our 4 copies of Negro Lazy. So the way that Negro Lazy works is when he is placed on rearguard, you could use a grade 0 from your drop and call it to rearguard. So what makes him really good is when you place him, if you call out a copy of your critical trigger, and you call him off of discarding like a bone or bone back to deck, you're discarding a card, and this will repay you the card that you discarded, whilst also giving you a soul, which is important for the Superior Ride if you need to go into it going first. He's also going to be able to call out your cards like your Performing Zombies. He just lets you tutor out any of your zeros. And a single copy of him is 2 cards that you can rest for the activation of your Navigator. So yeah, that's 4 copies of our Lazy. As previously mentioned, we're running 1 copy of this grade 2. The way that this grade 2 works is that it's going to allow you to get that extra attack for the back row, like mentioned earlier. He can either give it to another unit that can then attack from the back row, or it can give itself, and you can use your copy of Nectar of Sensationalism on it to buff this as big as one of your Skedicks would get anyway. So it's potentially like an extra play that you can do if you need to. And then we're also running, again, 2 staple Granblue cards in our Shade and our Columbard. This is a free mill and call, or a CB1 mill and call of any card in your deck. And this is an on-place mill 2 and add anything back. This is normally going to be used in conjunction with your G-Guards to sort of let you grab pieces back that you want. You could use this in conjunction with the fact that you're milling so much, just to grab back the Magnolia so that you have it as a ride target. And then last but not least, the Nectar of Sensationalism. The way this works is one of your units gains 5k for every card in drop, and if there are 15 or more, it's also going to gain a crit. So when your entire deck's in drop, this is a big number that you're giving with also a critical on top of that. Next, we have our grade 1s. The bread and butter of the deck that allows it to work is our 4 copies of Navigator. So Navigator's effect is you can rest 2 rearguards to mill the top 5 cards of your deck. It can include itself, it doesn't have to include itself, but it's not once per turn. So if you have this on rearguard and you do your play where you call your lazy calls a crit, you can then rest the 2, you can mill the 5, and you can get more options into your drop zone. One of those main options, and one of the cards that allows you to thin and keep your plays going, is your 4 copies of Bone. So Bone is unfair, frankly. Bone allows you to almost infinitely recur anything you need from drop zone. This, in conjunction with this, is effectively allowing you to just have any card out the deck you want at any time. But yeah, you use this, you'll cycle it a lot towards the end of the game. Around your turn 3s, these will be all that's in deck, and you can just keep drawing them and ditching them and drawing them and ditching them and just cycle through, get a bunch of calls. Then we're running 3 copies of our Cutlass. This would be 3 Cutlass and 1 old, but I don't have an old Cutlass currently. I find that just 3 new is okay. Some would say bump it up to 4 new if you don't have the olds, but I kind of feel it's okay at 3. But the way it works is it binds itself to call another copy. So this allows you to get your counter charge off. Which is obviously quite good. You need the counter charge, especially in tandem with some of the one of grade 1s I will go into later. But counter charge just allows you to... It works quite well with the combo that you're going to do to get your stand triggers back to deck so that all your drives are stands. Next we have our 3 Bilba. So the way Bilba works is you can Somas 1 to retire him, check top 3, call 1 from among them and mill the rest. So he's effectively a mill 3 that also lets you potentially call out like your Navigator, or it can call out a copy of your Lazy. It's just going to allow you to combo off further, and it also puts more cards in drop zone, enabling your Bones effect to trigger. Then we have 1 copy of Carry-On Processing. This is a counterless 1, bind it, and add your Nectar back. Just means that your Nectar's always online if you need to use the Nectar, pending you don't have the ability to call your 3 Scaredicks, and instead you can only call out the back row grade 2 that gives itself the ability to attack. You can then get the Nectar, give it the power, and it's effectively another Scaredick. Next we have our 1 copy of Quincy the Ghosty. So the way that Quincy works is that when you can retire this unit, and one of your Ghosties gains plus 5k. But its main ability that we care about is you can counter plus 1, choose one of your rearguard circles with a unit on it and call it over. So you can call this over Mick the Ghosty, and Mick the Ghosty's hollow effect will trigger to put it back to deck. So you can combo this off with your Cutlasses to just allow you to gain, keep countercharging, and you can just keep doing this several times. You can call back over it with like a Lazy to call something else over the top, and just keep cycling stands back to the deck. And then last but not least, running 1 of the grade 1, which is our Connell. So Connell's here because he changes himself to the target of your opponent's effects. So if you are able to set up the Connell on board, it means your opponent is unable to Denial Griffin any of your Scaredicks or deal with the Scaredick board. Because if they do that, you lose by default in this deck because you physically can't survive past this turn because you only have 1 card left in deck. So that's it for the grade 1 lineup. Pretty self-explanatory, minus some of the tax. Then for zeros, you'll see that we're mainly running 5k zeros, but first of all, we have the crit. The Rough Sea Banshee effect goes to Soul Draw. That's all that it does. on rearguard circles. So this is just here because it's going to let you put it to soul and draw a card. You're always going to have this. If this is a card that you have in hand, you call it down, you rest it with a nav, you mill 5, and you gain the card that you put down from your hand being the critical. So this is a free filter always. 3 copies of Mick the Ghosty. As previously mentioned, this is one of your main targets that can cycle itself back to deck when called on top of. And it's also got the hollow ability to give a unit power. So when your Bartholomew attacks, you're going to be able to call this down, and it's going to be able to give more power to your rearguard circles, because you're going to call down, like, one of these, a Lazy and a Beatrice. Lazy will call over this with another one. This would then go back to deck. Then Beatrice can call, say, like a Performing Out. If there's, like, another G1 you need to mill, this then goes back to deck, and then this can mill out any card that isn't the stands that you need in deck. But overall, really strong. Then next, a bit more of an expensive card, actually, surprisingly. 3 copies of Performing Zombie. So Performing Zombie's effect is, when placed, check top 10, mill a card from among them. So again, filters out the cards that you need in your drop. Just lets you continue plays. It's a call target off of your Lazy if you need to. Lets you filter out your grade 1s towards the end of the game so you only have triggers. Then 1 copy of Hades Steersman. This is nothing like a staple or required for the deck to work, but this effectively allows itself to be called out for free when you ride. I believe it's only when you ride grade 3. Yeah, when your grade 3 Vanguard's placed. You can call him behind the Vanguard, and he could just enable you to call out specific stuff when you need to. And then, last but not least, for like normal units outside of the triggers is the... Trigger units outside the heals is our overtrigger. So we choose to use the Cray Elemental because there's... If you need... You cannot afford to draw an extra card into your deck, like, ever in this deck, because you will just deck out. So the Stow lets you draw 2, basically. And plus, just 200 mil allocations is plenty. Yeah, really strong cards. Obviously, overtriggers should be banned, but, you know, they're in the game at the moment, so we have to play them. And then I'm last but not least running 2 G3 and 2 0 heal. This should really be 4-3 heals, but realistically, it's not a massive issue. This is just nice early game if you go second to survive their G3 turn, or potentially their stride turn. And then, of course, we have the starter and a quick shield. You're gonna want to have protect markers on hand, but 99% of the time they shouldn't come up, because if you're ever having to ride Beatrice, you've probably lost. And then on to G-Zone. This is not 16 cards. You can run 16 cards, but these are the only cards in the G-Zone, in my opinion, that are necessary for the deck to function. So I'm running 2 copies of Bartholomew, which is our new stride. The only stride we're ever going to go into in this deck. So when you stride him, if you have 30 or more in drop, all of your rearguards gain Battle Door, I believe. Does it give himself Battle Door as well? Yeah, so any time your opponent would guard, it's Battle Door 3. And his on attack allows you to call out 3 cards, sorry. So as I said, you do the combo, you put the stuns back so that there's like 1 left in deck, you put all the stuns back into the deck, and then you mill out the glass grade 1. So you have like all your drives are stuns, you're always stunning the Scaredick. And honestly, like potential 6 Scaredick attacks in a Vanguard swing, all with guard restrict, is very, very strong. Then we have the 1 Big Obadiah. So Big Obadiah is also potentially a stride option, depending on the situation, but it's basically an inferior Bartholomew, because you're always set up with the 30 in drop, so you'll always have the Battle Door. But in very specific situations, this lets us filter stand triggers back to deck a little bit better, but 99% of the time we're going to go into this. And then the rest of G-Zone is just G-Guards, so 3 Lily, 1 of the new G-Guard and 1 Dragon. These 2 don't really matter. Even these arguably don't matter. This just lets you get free guard from drop. It lets you get resources from drop. It's going to let you grab a Magnolia by calling out your Greed Shade. But overall, the G-Zone really doesn't matter outside of Bartholomew, in my personal opinion. You can run more. I maybe suggest you do run more. But this is very much a fun deck for me at the moment, so I haven't got round to picking up the rest of the bits to put in this. So the rest of G-Zone is in my Night Rose. But yeah, that has been Scaredick Turbo. It's very difficult to explain how the deck works, you just keep using navigators until you have a very little amount of cards left in deck, and you mill down until there's one unit left. You do the combo that puts the stands and stuff back, and you swing and you get all your stand triggers. That's kind of all there is to it. It's just about knowing what order to activate your effects. But other than that, that is my deck. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for the person that requested me to do a Scaredick deck profile. Sorry it took a while. I've been a bit busy, but I'm glad that I could finally get around to sort of showing the deck off. It's not a deck that's been massively spoken about on YouTube and stuff, so I thought it's a good idea to sort of show people what it does. But yeah, thank you guys very much for watching, and this has been Charlie from Top Table of TCG, and I am now signing out. See you later, guys.